So today, Joe Biden came out with his new gun control plans. He wants to target ghost guns, pistol braces, introduce red flag laws, along with a whole lot of other things he's calling Congress to do, like assault weapons bans, magazine bans, along with universal background checks. So let's talk about this. But real quick, before we jump into this video, if you think that the federal government needs to keep their hands off of our firearms, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to thank a couple of the main sponsors of the channel, the first being the USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you concealed carry, I highly recommend you look into a company like USCCA. They are who I actually recommend to people, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. Also, I want to thank Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee offers a Second Amendment focused coffee. So if you want to have a cup of freedom every morning, I highly recommend you look into Blackout Coffee. I'll put a link to them down in the details section. And if you use my code Armed Scholar, you will get 10% off of your order. So today, Joe Biden came out and has introduced his plans for gun control, some things that his administration is going to do, and some things he is calling for Congress to do as far as gun control. So the first thing that you will see if you watch Joe Biden's speech that he held today on gun control is that he said none of the things that he is proposing infringe on your Second Amendment rights, which is completely laughable. And I don't even know if Joe Biden has ever read the Second Amendment, but everything that he actually proposed today exactly infringes on your Second Amendment rights. So the first thing on Biden's list is he targeted ghost guns. This is a buzzword, hot topic that Democrats have focused on a long time. These incomplete lower receivers, polymer 80s, 80% receivers, they say they are ghost guns and that they're scary. They're out there. Criminals only use these. They can just buy them and build them in a matter of minutes. So they want to get rid of these things, and they actually want to treat these items as firearms under the Gun Control Act. And what Biden has proposed in his speech is that he's going to want them to be subject to serialization as well as background checks. Now, currently 80% lower receivers, polymer 80s, these so-called ghost guns, are not subject to serialization or background checks because they are not defined as firearms. They are an incomplete item. They are just pieces of plastic, pieces of metal, and they don't fall under the definition of what a firearm is. Well, now Joe Biden is calling for the DOJ and the ATF to make them subject to the definition of what a firearm is. Now, in his speech, he called on the DOJ to propose a rule within 30 days. So within 30 days, we should expect some rulemaking on these types of items in trying to make them firearms under the Gun Control Act. And what this means is, are they immediately banned or anything like that? No, they are not immediately banned. If you see anybody saying that ghost guns, polymer 80s, 80% low receivers are automatically banned right now, they aren't. Right now, Biden is calling on some proposed rulemaking, ultimately to make them subject to serialization and background checks. Now, the next thing he's going to target and want the ATF to target are pistol braces. Again, this is a hot topic issue that goes all the way back to the end of Trump's administration. There was heavy pushes by the ATF going after various companies like Hue and various pistol brace manufacturers. And so the ATF had already a push on trying to target pistol braces. And now Biden, again, is using one of the recent shootings to target pistol braces again. Now, if you listen to Biden's speech, he said that pistol braces make these firearms so much more deadlier. We can't have these on the street. And so what he was wanting to do, and what actually Democrats have been calling for a while in wanting to do, is they want to make any AR pistol, AK pistol that has a stabilizing brace on it fall under the National Firearms Act and be subject to a tax stamp and registry as an SBR. They want to treat your AR pistols, your AK pistols with pistol braces on them as actual SBRs and subject to that taxation and registration. As I mentioned, we had a recent push on pistol braces. There was a proposed rulemaking, and then there was a comment period where a lot of people got out. I called a lot of you to go and comment on the proposed rule, voice your opinion saying that you don't agree with it, and ultimately that comment period was shut down and that proposed rule was shut down. Well, fully expect that that proposed rule is going to pop up once again. It's probably gonna be a lot of the same language. And again, within 60 days, Biden is calling for the ATF to come up with a proposed rule on stabilizing braces. It's probably going to be the same thing. Then there's going to be another commenting period, and then we're all going to have to get out once again, comment on that proposed rule, and shut this thing down. So during his speech, Biden actually said he would like some sort of national red flag law, but right now he also wants some sort of language that other states could copy, paste, modify to institute red flag laws at a state level. And the last thing that he said he wants his administration to do is to come up with some sort of new way to track illegal firearms and gun trafficking. He says that the data they have right now is outdated, incomplete, and with the new technology and all this stuff, we can't track all the firearms and all the criminal activity. And so he is calling for his administration to come up with a new report on gun trafficking. Now, he also called Congress to do some things as well. The first one saying that he wants Congress to pass H.R. 8 and H.R. 1446, as well as the Violence Against Women's Act, which are currently passed the House and waiting for the Senate. We've talked about these heavily on the channel. If you want to learn more about those, I have some videos that you can watch. I comprehensively go over them. H.R. 8 deals with so-called universal background checks. H.R. 1446 deals with extending the 3-day reporting period from the FBI and where they need to respond on your background check to 10 days to potentially indefinite if the FBI doesn't respond. Now, on top of passing those pieces of current legislation that have passed the House, which we talked about, he also called for Congress to pass an assault weapons ban as well as a magazine ban. Now, we've talked again about a piece of legislation that has hit the House in Dianne Feinstein introducing a renewed assault weapons ban and magazine ban. You can click this tab right there, it takes you to that video. Like you can see, there have been pushes heavily on gun control in the very recent history, and now you have a renewed push by Biden saying that he's going to take all these actions on his own, and he's pushing Congress to pass all these other pieces of legislation over here. And one of the last things that Biden talked about in his speech, and he said if God were to come to him and say, Biden, what was the one thing you want out of all of these? It is eliminating the manufacturer of protection from liability. And so what he wants to do is strip liability protection from gun manufacturers and gun stores and hold these individuals accountable for actions of third parties. It doesn't matter that a criminal does criminal activity. He doesn't want to hold that criminal liable. He wants to hold the manufacturers and the gun stores liable for that individual's criminal actions. So as we stand right now, we have calls for administrative actions from the ATF and the DOJ. So that is the thing we should be expecting first, is some sort of rulemaking on 80% lowers and trying to make them fall under the definition of firearms, make them subject to serialization and background checks. And then another 60 days, we should expect as well some sort of rulemaking on pistol braces and trying to make any type of pistol that has pistol braces fall under the definition of SBRs, make them subject to the NFA, make them subject to taxation as well as registration. And once there are those proposed rules, there will be a commenting period. And when that happens, I will definitely be making a video talking about the rule and also calling you all to go and comment so we can shut those proposed rules down. We should also expect a renewed push on the Senate to pass H.R. 8, H.R. 1446, which deal with those background checks, as well as there might even be a renewed push on passing some sort of assault weapons ban and magazine ban in the House as well, potentially pushing for the Feinstein bill to be passed in the House. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, subscribe, and make sure to hit that notification bell because that helps the channel analytics, helps us spread the word about the Second Amendment, and also spread the word about things like this that are going on in the US to infringe on our Second Amendment rights. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and never forget this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will be maintained by armed scholars.